I'm Rebecca Lindquist, the speech and accent coach in the Silicon Valley, and I'd like to share with you today a bit about why you might want to do speech work. So a lot of people say, well, if accent reduction is not important anymore, then what difference does it make if I speak with a Chinese accent or an Indian accent or a Spanish accent? And while it really doesn't matter which accent you have, as we know, it's important to be clear. But in addition to that, what might be more important than looking at how we are all different, so a Chinese speaker is different from a Japanese speaker, is different from a Spanish speaker, it might be interesting to look at commonality. So that is asking the question, what do all non-native speakers have in common? If you think about that, you might say, so you mean Spanish speakers and Korean speakers, Japanese speakers, Chinese, and all the European languages like Polish and Russian and German and French, they're all doing things that are similar? Certainly there are some similarities. One of the similarities is breath. So most people who speak a foreign language, that is, they grew up speaking something other than English, will speak English with less breath. Americans and English speakers in general tend to inhale and exhale as they speak. If you speak a tonal language, for example, you might find you don't have to exhale breath. So you might talk a little bit more like this, a little bit faster, depending on your first language. It can sound a little bit more like that. Endings can drop. Sounds can be really shortened. You might get feedback that you talk too fast. Many of us do. Native speakers talk fast too, but the difference is we keep our vowels longer, we elongate sounds, and we have long sounds and short ones. And we also have a difference in the pace. You can talk really slow, and then you can talk really fast. So getting that rhythm down, regardless of what accent you speak with, is really important. Now, if you go to a speech club, and there's lots of great speech clubs in the area, you might be given the feedback that you need more vocal variety. And I love that word, it's so true. Yet, if English is not your first language, what is vocal variety? Do you go up and down and do all kinds of crazy things with your voice? That's probably not it. So just because you're speaking monotone, which a lot of people do, it doesn't mean that you can add pitch anywhere you want. There are still rules of English that apply. So whether you speak Chinese or Japanese or Korean or any other language, if you are using patterns from that language when you speak English, then you may not be showing up the way you'd like. So I would suggest that we speak on the commonalities and that we work on the commonalities. That is, if you're not using the muscles above your lip, below your nose, like an American English person would, that's why we show our teeth a bit, then you'll probably get a different sound quality. So notice what happens when I lower my lip and I don't use it much. I start to get different nuances in my speech. I'm not trying to do a specific accent, but you'll notice if I don't move my articulators much, I get muffled. And I get much clearer when I actually use the right articulation. I'm breathing, I'm moving, I'm using eye contact, which is also important. Now you can be given the advice, well, you need to use eye contact. That's true, but eye contact looks different in different languages. So I have a lot of clients from India, and in India, the neck is a little looser. The eye contact is soft, and the neck moves a lot from side to side, which is very distracting in American English. So if you can, keep your neck long, not stiff, but it's elongated with the crown of the head going upward, and then the arms move and the hands connect to the eye. I call this the hand-eye connection. So in English, when you want to give a presentation, especially in American English, in our culture, we tend to look at someone for about the count of 3, and then look at someone else while using our hand, and then look again to another person in a crowd or in an audience, as opposed to looking around and moving our head a lot. Now that's a cultural difference, but it also affects your speech. The commonality is that in each language of the world, there's different movement, but in American English, the movement tends to be eye-to-hand connection to about the count of 3, with that eye contact being consistent, so it's not fleeting or moving around. And then the speech that goes with it has a certain rhythm. The last word tends to be longer. So we say the words in groups, we keep the last word longer, we pause in between the groups, and we look around at different focal points. So this commonality takes the focus away from accent and more towards clarity. And that is how accent reduction, principles from it, can be applied to natural speech in American English. If you're interested in coaching or you know someone who is, please refer them to my website, englishbythehour.com. Visit, read my blog, and perhaps read some of the articles, and I'll see you again in the next video.